We're back with another top 10 list. This time it's the top 10 best artwork that defined 1994, the second year of Magic the Gathering's history. In a previous video, we looked at the best art from 1993, and this year in 94, you'll see a lot of the same artists with same art styles making iconic cards. Many famous cards from this time period are on the reserve list and so have never been reprinted and cemented themselves forever in 1994. Other famous cards from this time period, like Mana Drain, have been re-envisioned over and over again. With that, let's have some fun and look at the top 10 cards that defined the artwork of Magic the Gathering in 1994. We're going to start off our list in Legends with Mold Demon, and we are going to see Jesper as the artist on the list multiple times. He was really on top of his game and has a really certain theme that you'll see in his art at this time period. These big, bold brush strokes, really like a watercolor styling, and here again you can imagine it's the mold, like billions or trillions pieces of mold have created this creature with Wolverine claws to destroy its enemies. Unfortunately, the playtesting team didn't match the ability too well to make the Mold Demon as fearsome as he looks, but this art style is striking in 94, and again, when I'm looking at this list, looking for cards that if I pulled it today, I would pause and look at the art. I think Mold Demon holds up really well. And next, we have Elder Landworm by Quentin Hoover. This is the beginning of the Wurm's creatures. They would go on to be absolutely huge and known for their size, and certainly at the time a 5/5 trampler would stand out. This does have a pretty big casting cost and downside. Quentin Hoover here really going for this kind of very similar colors and flat palette across this art of this worm, and I think really invoked the plane or the island or a fantasy world where these worms are slithering through the sand. So while worms in Magic would go on to be much, much bigger and scarier than the Elder Landworm, he's out there somewhere on this desert planet waiting to strike. Number 8, Elves of the Deep Shadow from the Dark. There are, of course, hundreds and hundreds different of elves that have been made and created over the years, but this is one that always stood out to me when flipping through my collection. The kind of called her the goth girl, but the all black background, the way her hair and lipstick all blend into the card, and on top of that, she's good. She creates black mana, so there's something menacing about this elf. She doesn't really fit in with a lot of the other elves. In my head, I always pretended that she's related to Liliana. Maybe they'll add that to the lore one day. Number 7 on the list, Jasmin Boreal from Legends. Legends was filled with a lot of different characters, but Jasmin is definitely the most stunning. She's on something of a planet or hair, maybe she's underwater, but there's a moon in the background. It was just always a lot to take in. And it looks like she's holding the Iron Star. I'm always curious looking at this, is she on the go somewhere? Is she running? Is she hiding? Again, I just love the world building on this character. Of course, in Dominaria United, decades later after Legends came out, she would make a reappearance in another card. Again, this is one of those cards that actually makes me want to learn about the lore or the worlds that these characters inhabit. And next on the list is Season of the Witch from the Dark. I mean, this card, I think many people I've heard say this is actually their favorite card from the set and from this time period. You have this menacing demon face in the clouds overlooking what I always envision was like a haunted or evil village. Again, the way the art just makes it feel like the land is alive and evil. This is just such an unbelievably cool looking card. Number 5, it's Rainbow Vale from Fallen Empires. Now, I believe this card has been, as of today, the most expensive card in a set that usually is not known for its prices, but the artwork to me really reminds me of like a Maxwell Parrish painting, which he has some of my favorite paintings of all time. And while this one isn't quite as good, it definitely invoked some of the same palettes and the backgrounds and mountains to me. And so personally, given how this looks like one of my favorite artists, and I think it's probably the best looking card in Fallen Empires, it's made the list. Next up is Nebuchaadnezzar from Legends. So I think this is the only card in the history of Magic maybe that depicts a real figure or based on a historical figure. Obviously looks much better in this artwork than he does in the historical pictures that we have. Here Nebuchadnezzar is a powerful wizard or warlock standing there with his staff. Looks like he's ready to take someone out. The card's ability is also pretty interesting, especially if you're playing with like a Field of Dreams or something like that. I actually have a video on the channel of that combination happening, and you can see how powerful Nebuchadnezzar is. This is a card that made me want to play with it because it looks so awesome on the battlefield. And we're getting towards the top of the list, number 3, North Star. Again, using the constellation artwork, I think was just so beautiful to have this mage or this powerful creature either being one with the stars or coming from the sky or something like that. Of course, many years later in Theros Beyond Death, Wizards would revisit a constellation themed for their showcase cards, but really North Star is still the best it's been done. The old frame, the blue and the black artwork, I absolutely love. This is a beautiful card. Number 2 on the list, it's Urza's Avenger from Antiquities. Amy Weber almost wins the second year in a row. Again, this card, the artwork looks like semantics for some type of creature that Urza is working with. He's resurrected the skeleton. You can see the different muscles and components being put on it and kind of sketches in the background. It just makes it look like you found a piece of Urza's art or planning that he was doing for some type of weapon. I think this art really holds up well almost 30 years later. In the Brothers War set, there would actually be artifact sketch cards. I'm curious if Wizards went back and took this Urza's Avenger as the template for that artwork. Certainly Urza's Avenger will look awesome in a set today. It was awesome in 1994, and Amy Weber is really a heavy hitter artist from this time period. And the number 1 best artwork from 1994, it has to be All Hallows Eve by Christopher Rush. Christopher Rush, of course, of Black Lotus fame. In 1994, he would have some other really great art like Blood of the Martyr and Dark Heart of the Wood. But All Hallows Eve is just one of my favorite cards ever printed. The first thing that comes to mind is A Nightmare Before Christmas, like Halloween Town, like this pumpkin and gargoyle are in some haunted gigantic cemetery or plain where everything's dead. This card must take place in the same area as Bad Moon or Frankenstein's monster. It's just a Halloween evil themed world. I don't think they've done too many other cards around actual holidays. I know eventually they made a pumpkin card. Maybe it's the same pumpkin, but regardless, in the world of All Hallows Eve, the dead are constantly being resurrected. Of course, this card not only brings all of your creatures out of your graveyard onto the battlefield, but your opponents as well, because on All Hallows Eve, every creature comes back to life. Its tie-in with a popular holiday, at least in the United States, also makes it a standout artwork and one of the best arts ever created in Magic the Gathering. I absolutely love this card, and one day I will own a copy. Actually, it's probably the biggest miss right now from my collection from this time period. And with that, Christopher Rush wins it, the best artwork of 1994 with All Hallows Eve. Thank you everyone for watching. If you want more 1990s Magic the Gathering content, please subscribe to the channel or leave a comment below.